What's going on, everyone? I'm just a typical, average American here today to react to some very, very recent news that came out yesterday. Apparently, Trump sent a letter to Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney. And I don't know, something tells me that this was not some kind of belated Happy Canada Day card. So, you know what? Let's take a look at this. No big deal, right? No big deal. Just the future of the United States Canada relationship hanging in the balance. No big deal. He posted this on Truth Social. I actually have a transcript of it here just to make it a little bit easier to see. This is from Donald Trump. It says, "Dear Prime Minister, it is a great honor for me to send you this letter." It's a great... Here we go. All right. It's a great honor for me to send you this letter in that it demonstrates the strength and commitment of our trading relationship. Commitment. You want to talk about commitment. You want to say the C word. What kind of what commitment has the United States made by breaking the trust between our two countries, by starting this trade war, by beginning all of this tariff nonsense? What kind of commitment is that? Anyway, let's keep going here. I'm honored to send you this. Demonstrates the commitment of our trade relationship, sure. And the fact that the United States of America has agreed to continue working with Canada, despite Canada having financially retaliated against the United States. How dare you? How dare you retaliate, Canada? How dare you say anything and critique anything about what's going on that directly affects and hurts your country? How could you? How could you do that? This is going to be tough to get through. This is just really dumb so far. Like, what? Who even talks like this? Like, basically, the first part of this letter is saying, I can only imagine Mark Carney opening this up, like in his office or whatever, and reading this, and it's like, "Hey, Mark Carney, it is your honor that I am writing you this letter because you have been very bad to America, very mean and very bad, and you've had the audacity to have a problem with what America is doing to you." How? Okay, let's keep going here. As you will recall, the United States imposed tariffs on Canada to deal with our nation's fentanyl crisis. Not this again. So he's... So first of all, as I already said, this is like gaslighting or something. I swear, he's a master at this, truly. Say what you will about Donald Trump, good or bad, but he's a master at trolling, if that's what, for lack of a better word. He's making this out like Canada is the one who's done all these horrible things, whereas America started it all. Okay, and by Canada like responding or retaliating to trade and tariff threats and annexation threats, like you're not supposed to, you're not allowed to retaliate to that, or say you're not okay with that, or respond with tariffs against us, which is what happens in trade wars that we started. It's just this is enough to like cook your brain, I swear. All right, enough. I'll try to keep the ranting down a little bit, but I don't know if I can contain myself. This is just too juicy. All right. Right, the fentanyl. Yeah, as you will recall, it's so disrespectful, like the writing as well. Like, who As you will recall, like who says that? As you will recall, it's very condescending, that's the word. The United States imposed tariffs on Canada to deal with the fentanyl. Yeah, okay, sure. This is all because of the massive drugs coming from Canada into the United States. How will we survive all the drugs that we're all high on because of no. No. I don't even know the statistics, but I'm American. I live in the United States, and I know what it's like to be here. Nobody talked about drugs or fentanyl coming from Canada. No one before this election ever talked about Canada ever being any kind of problem. We had a great relationship. Anyway, the fentanyl crisis, which is caused in part by Canada's failure to stop the drugs pouring into the United States. So, yes. I want to fact check this, actually. I'll come back to this real quick. ChatGPT, AI, is there a lot of fentanyl? How do you spell fentanyl? I don't partake in the fentanyl. I don't know how to spell it. Fentanyl coming from Canada into the USA. Let's see. ChatGPT isn't perfect, but it can search the internet a lot faster than I can. Okay, experts in data says there's a negligible fentanyl from Canada. U.S. Customs seized 59 pounds between 2022 to 2024. For like 2 to 4 years here. 59 pounds. 59 pounds. I could hold that in my arms. 59 pounds of fentanyl. Probably kill me because I'd be inhaling it, but that's the amount that Canada has been pouring into the United States. For years, it all adds up to 59 pounds. So bad. So bad. Compared to the 60,000 pounds at the southern border. Canada is less than 0.1% of fentanyl seizures in the United States. And yet we don't share any of this hostility towards Mexico. We don't want to annex Mexico. We're not threatening Mexico every week now. Why the hostility towards Canada in particular? Because it's not the fentanyl. It's just, that's a really quick search on ChatGPT, but I got to go with something. And the data there says it's just not true. So, instead of working with the United States, Canada retaliated with its own tariffs. Of course! It's so ridiculous. Like, if anybody on the planet did this stuff to America, some other country put tariffs on America, some other country threatened America, of course we would retaliate. Of course. We would be proud to retaliate. We would say anyone in this position should retaliate. And yet, as soon as we are the ones doing it, when the US is the aggressor, we're mad that Canada retaliates. He's admitting the United States started it because you can't retaliate unless someone did something to you. It's just ridiculous, the idea that Canada should not be allowed to voice any kind of opposition or retaliation to policies directly hurting your country. Ridiculous. Starting August 1st, so that's in like 20 days, we will charge Canada a tariff on 35%. Ah! 35%. 35%. That is... Tariffs, from what I understand, tariffs never were this. Numbers like this, 35%, on, like it's a blanket, 35% on Canadian products. And 35% tariff on all Canadian products sent to the US. It's not 10%, 20%. That, from historical records, I think 20 would be crazy. It's more. It's 35. I really hope this is just what has become a long series of bluffs where Trump threatened like basically every country in the world with tariffs and then paused it for 3 months, and now the 3 months are coming to an end, I guess, which is why we're kind of at this. Um, but it's not all been bluffs, I guess. I think the U.S. has currently the U.S. has tariffs on Canada, like I think 25% on a lot of goods that aren't protected by some trade agreement, 50% on steel and aluminum from Canada, 25% automobiles, and now there's going to be 35% on everything. Separate from all sectorial tariffs. I'm not sure what that means. Um, Goods transshipped to evade this tariff will be subject to a higher tariff. I'm not sure what transshipping is. Seems to be some kind of technicality you can do to try to get around being tariffed. As you are aware, there will be no tariff if Canada or companies in Canada decide to build or manufacture product in the United States. So, like, what? It's so ridiculous, the things that Trump asks for. And I know he has this wacky, kooky, over the top negotiating style where you're supposed to ask for way too much and then meet somewhere in the middle and hopefully get more than you would have gotten. But it's not worked out so far. Like the threats against all the different countries, there were supposed to be 90 deals in 90 days. That never happened. There's been like two. Countries don't want to make deals with us, and this is because you say stuff like this. Um, you say stuff like, "Hey, Canada, you don't worry. You won't be tariffed if you build your companies build or and manufacture in the U.S." That would literally hurt Canada more, right? Like that would, for one thing, Canadians would be losing jobs because jobs that were Canadian would now be American. And to pick up and move an entire Canadian country into America, what a hit to the Canadian economy and job for so many reasons. It's just terrible. Terrible to even ask that. Of course you're not going to do that. Well, to stay in business, maybe some companies have to do that. I understand, but Trump thought doing these tariffs would cause lots and lots of different corporations around the world in lots of different countries to move and relocate to the US. It's not really happened. All that's happened because it takes years for someone to relocate their manufacturing, to rebuild in America, to build a manufacturing center, remake all of its supply chains. That takes years. Trump will be out of office by the time a company could relocate to America and set everything up and do all the logistics. It just doesn't make sense. So that's not happening. And so the whole premise is just ridiculous. And on top of that, countries to circumvent this are just to get around American tariffs. Trump is forgetting there is another option available. Countries and companies around the world can just choose to not do business with America, to not sell and import things into America. That is an option. That gets around the tariff, and a lot of places are doing that. Okay, let's keep going here. We will do everything to get approvals quickly, professionally, routinely. And so he's actually acknowledging that the logistics of moving companies to America is pretty ridiculous. If for any reason Canada decides to raise your tariffs, then whatever the number you choose to raise will be added to the 35%. This is just bullying. This is not negotiating. That's one of the biggest issues I've had with the whole thing is why can't we just like talk like civilized like countries? Canada's been civil, but I mean America. Why can't we just be like a normal civilized humans and talk and negotiate like we've done for long? Why has it got to be Okay, 35%, and if you do anything against it, we'll add that onto it as well. Goodbye. That's our negotiating now? That's how we do it? Also, I mentioned the flow of fentanyl is hardly the only there is no flow of fentanyl from the data I've seen. There's no flow of fentanyl, but whatever. The only challenge we have with Canada, which has many tariff, non-tariff policies, trade barriers, which cause unsustainable trade deficits against the United States, Canada charges extraordinary tariffs on our dairy farmers up to 400%. This is something that came up in a video I did not long ago. This Canada charging our farmers 400%. I did a fact check on that. That is only when U.S. farmers exceed a very specific agreed upon threshold of trade. When it's not like Canada is charging 400% tariffs all the time to U.S. dairy farmers. That is a complete lie, a gross over-exaggeration. It is only when American farmers exceed certain trade thresholds of trade, and because Canada wants to do most business with Canadian farmers, and it's going to limit how much American farmers can sell and do business in Canada, and that makes sense to me. And so there's a tariff for that situation, and I've seen this one before, and I'm not getting fooled. That is also not true. It's assuming our dairy farmers even have access to sell products to Canada. The trade deficit is a major threat to the U.S. economy and our national security. If Canada works with me to stop the flow of fentanyl, didn't Canada invest a ton of money into the border and stopping fentanyl? Like, Canada already did that. Even though it wasn't even a problem, Canada did it. We will perhaps consider adjusting this letter. Tariffs might be modified upward or downward, depending on our relationship with Canada. You will never be disappointed with the United States of America. One more time. You Canadians will never be disappointed with the United States of America. That just says it all right there, doesn't it? That's what he thinks. From Donald J. Trump, President of the U.S. All right. Well, there you have it. That's the update. That was tough to get through. Anyway, I was hoping after there was like the digital services tax that Canada retracted when Trump threatened to end all trade with Canada a few weeks ago. I did a video about that. I was hoping after that somehow, some way, the new relationship, Trump, Carney, like we were starting off on the right foot, that there was going to be negotiating. We're supposed to strike a deal in the next 10 days or something in this month. And I was hoping it was all maybe going to happen. It's just becoming more and more apparent to me that it's got to be infuriating for Canada to try to negotiate with Donald Trump. Every week now, there's some new monkey wrench thrown into this that you literally never know what's going to happen. So I don't know. It sounds like this is going to go into effect August 1st. And I think Canada and the US are supposed to be trying to strike a deal in the next 10 or 20 days. I don't know. At this point, I was optimistic. I'm back to being pessimistic about this, because I don't know how Canada is going to respond to this. Mark Carney had a tweet. He said, throughout the current trade negotiations with the U.S., the Canadian government has defended our workers and businesses. We will continue to do so as we work towards the deadline of August 1st. Of course. It makes it like, of course Canada is going to do what's best for Canada. It would be strange and a disservice for any country to not do what's in the interest of their people. That's why Canada and America need to come to an agreement, a compromise. And all of this just seems like America putting out threats. America saying, Canada, this is how it's going to be, or else, which is just such a horrible way to go about it. Canada has made progress to stop the scourge of fentanyl in North America. We're committed to continuing to work with the US to save lives. To Mark Carney's credit, he's being very, very diplomatic here. We are building Canada strong. The federal government, provinces, and territories are making progress in building one Canadian economy. We're poised to build a series of new major projects in national interest, strengthening our trading partnerships throughout the world. Interesting that he ends the tweet. This is basically his first response to Trump in the letter. Canada is strengthening trading partnerships throughout the world. That is exactly what I would expect Canada to be doing. Carney is openly saying it. So that's the last thing he says. And I don't think that's a coincidence. He's openly saying, in a diplomatic manner, well, okay, America, that's great and all that, but we're going to work on strengthening Canada, and we're going to do it by having trade partners that respect us, for one thing, and in other parts of the world. There's other places to go other than America. Seems to be the attitude a lot of countries are taking on, actually. So, as an American, this makes me extremely concerned, to say the least. Pessimistic. Unfortunate. What else can you say? Yeah, it's bad. So, anyway, if you enjoyed this, feel free to give this video a like or leave a comment with your thoughts, especially if you're Canadian, your perspective on all this stuff. That'd be cool to hear about. And if you're interested in more videos like this, me reacting to Canada and seeing Canadian things I've never seen before, feel free to subscribe for more. And until then, thanks for watching, and see you next time.